Music in a video game is really hard to judge objectively because taste in music is really subjective. I mean, people like this, but they also like this. So, I'm not going to be objective here. I'm just going to count down my top 10 RPG soundtracks of all time. Most of this stuff is personal preference, but I'm aiming for soundtracks where there are 1. A lot of good songs, 2. There's a good variety, and 3. Where the music complements the game while making it memorable. As a quick aside, I don't consider Zelda an RPG, so don't expect any of those games here. In any case, let's count down my top 10 favorite RPG soundtracks, also known as what you'll probably find on my iPod. I really had a tough time deciding between this game and Persona 3 for the number 10 spot, but Persona 4 took the cake because it had more amazing songs in my opinion. I'll Face Myself, Signs of Love, The Almighty, and many more of these tracks are some of my favorites. What I really loved about this soundtrack was its ability to switch from peppy J-pop to intense orchestral music. It helped define the game in its unique setting and gave me some musical relaxation after Teddy scraped my eardrums, and that alone warrants it this spot. The first Wild Arms game is often called the best in the series, and the soundtrack certainly backs this up. Alone in the World, Funeral Procession, and of course, Into the Wilderness are some of my favorites from this title. What I loved about this soundtrack was that it had a really cool western feel with a lot of great town themes that utilized whistling to give the game its unique atmosphere. The game knew how to be moody, adventurous, and a lot more, as the soundtrack always boosted certain revelations in the plot, and many other little things like the villain appearances and other twists. It's a wonderful soundtrack, though it would have been higher on the list if the battle music was a little more memorable. That's right, one of my favorite RPG soundtracks came from the Game Boy. And this pick beat out consoles that came out years after it. Yes, the 8-bit Game Boy Pokémon soundtracks are pretty phenomenal. My favorite songs include Pallet Town, Dark Cave, and the Champions theme. I know it's kind of cheating to pick 2 games, but the second generation of Pokémon has you running around in the first world, so it counts as far as I care. In any case, the music in these games are phenomenally memorable, catchy, and make great use of the game's software. I also think they are much more superior to later Pokemon music, but that might just be nostalgia speaking. Also, don't listen to the Lavender Town theme too much or bad things will happen to good people, according to the internet. Those of you who watched my review of Xenogears will know that I had pretty mixed feelings about this game, but I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that this soundtrack is outstanding. Made by the master himself, Yasunori Mitsuda, this soundtrack is extremely well done and enhances the scope of the game tenfold. Emotions, June Mermaid, and Night of Fire are some of my favorites from the soundtrack, but there's a lot to love from it. I think the best thing about this music is how every song seems to hit one emotion and then hit that emotion very hard, making it easy to listen to this music outside of the game while still getting the full effect. The story of the game may be a maze of insanity, but the soundtrack will make getting lost a lot more reasonable. Being probably one of the largest soundtracks on this list and of all RPGs, Mother 2, or Earthbound's soundtrack, hits on absolutely every genre you can think of. What's even more surprising about the soundtrack is how unique it is, just like the game itself, because there are so many weird and wonderful themes that you'll never hear in another RPG, especially an RPG at the time. The Sanctuary Guardian theme, Annette, and Smiles and Tears are just some of the many wonderful pieces in this game that will stick in your mind long after you've conquered Gaius and saved the world. Here's a soundtrack that not too many people recognize as incredible, but Terranigma is an underground game with music that rises above so many others. Proving that SNES soundtracks may be the best of all time, from the opening theme to the ending melody, Terranigma provides wonderful music that pushes you to explore every inch of the planet and beyond. The music suits the emotions absolutely perfectly, being catchy, exciting, or majestic, and sometimes everything at once. My favorites from this soundtrack are the Top of Satan Mountain, the Underground, and Overworld themes, but there are so many others that capture the mystery, optimism, and adventurous spirit of Terranigma. This is the largest soundtrack on the list, I believe, and if you are impressed with the breadth of Earthbound's music, then this game will leave you speechless. Mom's Hometown, Anthem of Destruction, and It Is Finished are some of the great themes you'll hear in this game. There's a song for absolutely every situation, every battle, everything in this game, and the battle system even uses the music as part of the gameplay, so you know there was some love and detail put into this music. The reason that this game places so high on the list is because the music is carefully shaped to the events of the plot as well as every situation you run into so that you always stay invested into the quest. Also, you'll rarely hear the same song twice, which is a problem in some RPGs that only have one battle theme, and that can make even the best songs sound like insert relevant teen idol. Man, this soundtrack, I'm telling you, from the very opening title screen, this song will pull you into the game. I don't even absolutely love this game beyond reason like many people do. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but the only reason I have such clear visions of this game in my head years after playing it is the amazing soundtrack. Fear of the Heavens, The Holy Intruder, and Meridian Dance are all some of my favorites, and I can almost promise that you'll love them too. Like any great video game soundtrack, hearing a song instantly paints a picture of the game and its locations in your mind, but even without the game, the soundtrack still holds out as unique and exciting It's a very calm soundtrack that's never too overbearing, but it can also be light and fun too. Whenever some people say that video game music isn't real music, I just let them listen to Secret of Mana and watch how they can't believe that this magnificence came from a 16-bit console. I think this may be the only entry on the list that many people might disagree with, and I'm willing to admit that much of this is nostalgia, but damn it, Final Fantasy VII has a kick-ass soundtrack. What's so great about it? Well, the best part of it is the instrumentation. This game sounds like no other game out there, so there's a lot of newer games that all have this orchestral music, but they all kind of blend together, while this game stands out because the instruments sound so different. This is one of the only video game soundtracks where I'll listen to any song on the soundtrack and instantly know what game it's from because of how unique it sounds. And there's something special about that. Also, the game does something that a lot of amazing, great soundtracks do, and that's have a little musical motif or main theme that reoccurs throughout the game. Terranigma, this game, and the top pick of the list all do that, but I just love it when the main theme is interwoven with other songs in the soundtrack. It shows a great attention to detail and love. The normal battle themes, the world map theme, and Dear to the Heart are all incredible pieces, and there are so many other songs on this soundtrack that all just sound good. Like the locations and characters of the game, there's a lot of steampunk and a lot of foreboding in the soundtrack, like tense emotions, activity, but there's also a lot of energy and emotion behind it as well, just as the game deals with the discrepancy between technology and nature. The music of Final Fantasy VII is well celebrated, and there's a good reason for it. This was the #1 pick. Absolutely no contest for me. The soundtrack to Chrono Trigger is absolutely flawless in my opinion. Flawless. What sets it apart from every other RPG soundtrack is that every single song in this game, every single one, is amazing and memorable. Like, ridiculously good. I can't even pick favorites. The main theme, Frog's theme, and oh my god, To Faraway Times, the ending theme, is a song I honestly still can't listen to without getting a little misty-eyed. I know, shut up. This game's music hits on absolutely everything. The right tone, the right instruments, it's catchy, it's memorable, it's fun, it's terrifying, it's upbeat, it's mysterious. This soundtrack is everything. I honestly can't say much more about this soundtrack, just go listen to it now, please. I even bought the jazz soundtrack of this game because I loved it so much. And it has eggs and bacon on it, everybody. Bacon, people! Why does this soundtrack have breakfast on it? Well, that's all I got for my favorite RPG soundtracks, but do you guys all agree? I know I didn't have some of other people's favorites, like Final Fantasy VI, but what's your favorite RPG soundtrack? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.